All right. Back again with another video. I want to talk about North Carolina State football for a minute next year. Upcoming season, a little bit of their history. The last time North Carolina State won a championship in the ACC was 1979. I think they have 7 all time. Like the 5th most. Maryland. Of course, Clemson and Florida State got the most. The Maryland and NC State is tied. Let me see, with 7. No, Maryland is third with 9. Duke and NC State has 7 each. Carolina has 5. So, North Carolina State has had some great football players. Martin Williams, Torrey Hope, Phillip Rivers, of course, Russell Wilson, of course. He only played 1 year at Wisconsin. I mean, he spent most of his time there. Glennon, Finland, Chubb. There was a quarterback that played in the 80s. He was Barry Sanders' quarterback. White guy, I can't remember his name. Chucky Brown, he was leading. I think he's the leading rusher in ACC history, which ETN is about to break. Their best year was, I think, 2002. They finished like 11-3, won the Gator Bowl. Interesting. Now, you can go ahead and count the Peach Bowl if you want to. But NC State has never been to a major bowl. Duke, if you don't know this about Duke, played the Rose Bowl in Durham 1 year. Then they played Oregon. But NC State last year fell on some hard times. They were 5-7, I believe. The quarterback they had was he had some issues. Matt McKay, he was starting coming into the season. He had been Finley backup. He's a local Raleigh kid out of Wakefield. Didn't have a very good year. And then he was replaced by Devin Leary. Devin Leary was player of the year in New Jersey. The thing about NC State, even they don't have a great football history, they are known for beating Clemson when least expected. So that's one of the teams that you got to look out for. They returned their top 3 running backs, Knight, Phoenix, and Houston. I think Knight had like 789 yards as a freshman. Amico Emirez, their top receiver coming back. He had like 700 yards. They top tacklers coming back. Let me see what his name is. No, he ain't coming back. But on this stop sack guy, Louis Acey, he's coming back next year. NC State so far has signed 17 players. Porter Brooks looks like he's the best player out of Charlotte. Receiver. 8 players out of North Carolina, 4 out of Georgia, 2 out of Florida, 1 out of Arizona, 1 out of the District of Columbia, 1 out of Maryland, and 1 out of South Carolina, 1 out of Virginia. Quarterback 1, receiver 6, offensive lineman 4, defensive line 1, linebacker 2, defensive backs 4, special teams 1 player. They got off to a 2-0 start. They beat Western Carolina, East Carolina. But if you watch NC State during the season, they went on hard times as far as injuries. Then their left tackle got hurt, the right tackle. If you watch the Clemson game, they were playing with safeties at cornerback because they were so beat up at DB last year. And if it wasn't raining, Ross and Fields would have had a bigger field day than Ross and Higgins probably had a bigger field day than what they did on them. But NC State, it's hard to project what they're going to do. They play a really hard schedule. To me, they do. I mean, they got Mississippi State. Well, I don't think that's who they start off with the year with. Uh, they start off with Louisville. It's going to be a hard game. Louisville seems like they have a pretty good running game, athletes, but not much defense. The defense need to improve. Play Mississippi State. Mike Leach, that's all need to be said. I mean, he's going to an SEC team, try to see how he does with his talent. So that might be 2 losses right there back to back, starting the season off. Troy, kind of hard to say. I think Troy was 5-7 last year after their coach left. So that's a toss-up game right there. Then you got Delaware Blue Hens. That should be a win. And you got Florida State in Tallahassee. In Raleigh. That should be a loss for them. Florida State should be able to beat them. I think Florida State going to be much improved. Duke, don't know. They haven't played Duke in like 8 years or 6 to 8 years, something like that. They should do like what Wake Forest and Carolina does, is have a non-conference game. They're 20 minutes apart. They should play more often. Before expansion, they used to play all the time. I got a Texas Bowl with Clemson. They got Wake Forest. You don't know how good Wake Forest is because of their because of the way they recruit. They don't recruit. They recruit players to develop them. Got Boston College at home. I don't know if Dylan left yet to go pro. I have no clue. So I don't really know how good Boston College is going to be next year. They got Syracuse at the Carrier Dome. Liberty, hard to figure out because Liberty got some good offense. And we don't know how good NC State's going to be. They should be much improved. Carolina on a Friday night, the end of the season. To be honest with you, I probably see them going 5-7 or 6-6. 6-6 being the best because Louisville's going to be better. Mississippi State is real good. Florida State's going to be better, so that's another loss. You got Clemson, that's 4 losses. And the rest of these games, 5 with Carolina. So 7-5, 6-6, 5-7, somewhere around there because how good these teams are this coming up year. And I just don't think NC State can hang with them. And that's just the honest truth. They should be much better. They return most of their players. Last year, a lot of these guys were freshmen and sophomores, so they should be better. But I really don't see much explosiveness out of them. Problem with NC State, probably the same. They have Carolina right up the street. They got Clemson right down the road. They got Virginia Tech. Then you got East Carolina on the coast. It's hard to build a market like South Carolina. South Carolina does a good job of keeping their kids at home. And Clemson, they do a good job of getting some players from Florida. They get some players from Georgia. Getting some players from South Carolina. Getting some players from North Carolina. Getting some from Alabama, Virginia, wherever they can. But NC State doesn't have that power to go out there and do that. That's why you only see them with 1 4-star. They have some, like I said, Chubb, Mario Williams, I'm sorry. Phillip Rivers, but Phillip Rivers was recruited to be a linebacker. So, that goes just to go to show you that he wasn't really highly thought of coming out. Russell Williams, he was a baseball player. Nobody was thinking that he was going to do what he did. Torrey Holt, I think it was 97 when Torrey Holt and then beat Florida State. He put on the show that game. But, for the most part, I think they're going to be decent, but it's not great. I'm kind of shocked that they playing Mississippi State this year. Well, maybe not. They probably on equal terms. But with Mike Leach there, they're going to be throwing that ball around. And that was one of NC State problems, because if you ever seen NC State play, their defense is designed to stop the run and not really stop the pass. So we'll see. Let's see what NC State does this year. This is an early preview. You know, you still got transfers and all of that coming through. So we'll see what they do. All right.